Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. November 13th, 2019, the CEOs Discover Trust Edition. First up from the Washington Post, Fordham University business students have a new tool to prepare them for boardrooms, virtual reality. Virtual reality in short order for boardrooms. Business schools are packed with courses devoted to entrepreneurship, but far less common are the people skills necessary to put their newly acquired knowledge to use. These soft skills obviously are incredibly important, most particularly for a compliance practitioner, but for a wide variety of business persons. At Fordham, business professors are challenging the notion with a high-tech teaching tool that's making its way into more classrooms, virtual reality. Instead of listening to lectures or poring over textbooks, students enrolled in Fordham's Exploring Entrepreneurship are donning virtual reality goggles that temporarily remove them from the classroom and put them in simulated situations designed to build professional skills. In one simulation, students learn how to network. In another, lead negotiations. So this role-playing, I think, is a great way, but the question I have is, when will we just have virtual board meetings? Next up from the New York Times, a very interesting article about the funding company Softbank, and it basically asks the question, is Softbank's business model a bit bait and switch? Because what appears to be happening is Softbank-backed private equity companies are coming in and funding startups and then cutting off their funding or cutting off their business model after they get them hooked and they've made the changes to come into the Softbank family. Like I said, that's called a bait and switch, so it's going to be interesting to see where this might take us going forward. Next up, a U.S. software company, Altair Engineering, may have violated U.S. economic sanctions and export control regs, the company said in a self-disclosure. The company said it discovered possible violations in May and disclosed them to regulators, according to its most recent quarterly financial report. Altair suspected an unaffiliated third-party consultant may have provided proprietary software to an individual subcontractor residing in Iran, according to the filing. Altair conducted an internal investigation and has disclosed those to OFAC and the Department of Commerce. The company said it reported to regulators the unintentional transfer of commercial software and trial software licenses to several individuals located in Iran. There's no comment on the specific intentional or unintentional nature of the disclosure. Nevertheless, the disclosure itself, or rather the passing on of those softwares to sanctioned individuals, certainly could cause the company trouble. And finally, from the New York Times Deal Book, there is growing awareness in the CEO level that trust is an incredibly important issue. And it's frankly amazing that CEOs are finally now learning this. Yesterday I talked about an article that appeared in the Houston Chronicle talking about the trust problem. And today in the New York Times, they talked about CEOs actually becoming cognizant of it. So really this gets to as basic a cultural issue as you can get. It starts with compliance and ethics, but it's about culture and it's about people trusting their CEO at the top. Obviously, Boeing is perhaps the most current example of a CEO who has lost the trust of various stakeholders. He had his role slapped by the board of directors. He has misrepresented to Congress in prior testimony. There's, of course, the regulatory aspect where Boeing made misrepresentations to regulators in several filings and in their negotiations. So trust really is an incredible, important part of a leader, and we can only hope that this trend will continue going forward. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks for listening.